Hi everyone, you're listening to the Health and Wellbeing podcast. I'm Alison Mitchell, a practicing naturopath, and you can find me on naturopathnsw.com.au. Hi everyone, thanks so much for joining us today. We're joined with the beautiful Lee Holmes. Lee Holmes is a holistic nutritionist, yoga teacher, a whole food chef, the Lifestyle Food Channel's healthy eating expert, and author of the best-selling books Supercharged Food, Eat Your Way to Health, Supercharged Food, Eat Yourself Beautiful, Eat Clean, Green and Vegetarian, Heal Your Gut, and Eat Right for Your Shape, and Supercharged Food for Kids. Lee also runs a 4-week online Heal Your Gut program, and you can find Lee over at her website superchargedfood.com, where she has delicious recipes, information and menu planning ideas. Thanks so much for joining us, Lee. How have you been going?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Alison. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. So I'm so excited to have you here, and we're going to be mostly talking about your beautiful new book, which is the Eat Right for Your Shape, which is all about Ayurvedic health and lifestyle and so much more. But first, let's get started. I wanted to know, how did you get into
Well, I was always interested in health and wellness when I studied nutrition about 28 years ago now, and cooking as well. But then it only really became apparent to me that I was going to have it as a career when about 6 years ago I was diagnosed with an autoimmune issue and fibromyalgia. And I was working full-time at the time, and I woke up one day and I noticed that I was really tired. Like I just had no energy, and I had all these hives, like it was covering my whole body. And my hair started to fall out in clumps, and I had lots of tummy issues as well, gut issues, and a lot of arthritis as well. So I kept on going into work, as you do, I was a parent, single parent at the time, and kept on going to work till one day I just literally crashed and I couldn't do it anymore. And then from there, I went through a very complex medical system, went from doctor to doctor, scan to scan, more clumps of hair, more tests, until eventually I was diagnosed with an autoimmune issue and fibromyalgia. And from there, I was put on a cocktail of different drugs, immunosuppressants, anti-inflammatories, anti-cancer drugs, antibiotics, you name it. So many different kinds of drugs, actually 20 pills a day I was taking. And yeah, so one of the big problems for me was that I couldn't distinguish between the side effects of the medication and the symptoms of the autoimmune issues and fibromyalgia that I had. So I lived pretty much in a fog for a good 3 months in hospital, in and out of St. Vincent's Hospital. And so I spoke to my doctors at the time and said, perhaps this could be diet related, because I do notice that at certain times when I eat certain things, my symptoms really flare up. So if I have too much sugar, I notice that the hives really flare up. And if I have too much gluten, my tummy issues start, and I start to get tired and aches and pains through my body. And so I said to them, maybe if I change my diet a little bit, it would help improve the symptoms and also help with the side effects of the drugs. And they said, no, it's got nothing to do with diet at all. So just keep on eating the hospital food, which was 2 pieces of stale white bread, plastic cheese, plastic ham. It was pretty revolting.
It's pretty delicious, isn't it?
Desserts with more numbers than a phone book. So from there, what I did was I did a deal with the doctors, and they said to me, because I'd studied nutrition and I was into cooking, that I could just knock myself out with whatever recipes I like. And so that's what I did, and I finally weaned myself off all of that medication, which was fantastic. And from there, I put all my recipes up on a blog, and I started my superchargedfood.com blog. And that's when I got really interested in actually working in food and nutrition, cooking and recipes as a job, because I felt really inspired by the people who were contacting me saying, that was my story. I had steroids. I blew up like the Michelin Man. All of those things happened to me. And so I realized that there's a lot of people out there who are having a lot of trouble with, autoimmune issues and gut issues. And so that's why I decided that I really wanted to share my recipes with other people.
Yeah, and I'm sure those people are so grateful as well. Because they're beautiful recipes, and when you're feeling down like that, the last thing you want to do is get creative in the kitchen. Well, some people do, but not everyone does. And
I know.
having
So
that resource is really good.
What I tend to do with my recipes is that I use beautiful, nutritious ingredients and herbs and spices to make them flavoursome, but they're very simple and easy recipes. So with my Heal Your Gut program, there's some amazing soups and slow cooking and bone broths, really easy and simple ones to make that heal your body and make you feel amazing, but also taste really good. And you can buy the ingredients from Coles, so or Woolies, you know, your local supermarket. It doesn't have to be difficult.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. And so your diet principles have possibly changed quite a lot over the last few years, because your first book, Supercharged Foods, Eat Your Way to Good Health, that was based around healing the issues that you were having at the time, and anti-inflammatory, eating whole foods and that sort of thing. But you've also released a vegetarian book, and the gut healing book, and now your Ayurvedic book as well. So can you talk us a bit about how your way of eating has changed over the years?
Yeah, sure. So when I was working at the ABC, and when I was working full time, I used to just get up in the morning and I'd have like cereal or a piece of toast. And then for lunch, I'd have like Serena tuna with like inflammatory oils. And then for dinner, I'd go home and have like lean cuisine. It wasn't that healthy. It was a lot of processed food, really. Because I was a busy working mum, you know, and I didn't know any better back in the day, back then. And then since I started to really start my recipes and books and simplify my diet, as to speak, I added more nutritious ingredients. So as I said before, I was taking antibiotics, so I would add more garlic into my diet to help with that. Instead of the anti-inflammatories, I added more turmeric into my diet. So I was adding just certain ingredients that I'd researched and learned and studied into my food, even just like making an anti-inflammatory toddy, which is a drink that I have at night, which I love, with just some beautiful turmeric, some cardamom, some cinnamon, some nutmeg, some vanilla, and a few chai spices. Absolutely beautiful. And you just warm it up on the stovetop with some coconut milk.
So you were able to put in some good stuff to help with the symptoms, and then eventually ease off some of the medications that you needed because of that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Great. I was also really interested to see that you've included intermittent fasting as part of the recommendations in your book. And this is something that's received quite a lot of attention by different health practitioners and researchers over the last few years as well. Can you explain a little bit about what that is?
Yeah, sure. From an Ayurvedic point of view or perspective, intermittent fasting has been around, you know, for as long as Ayurveda has been around. And what they do in Ayurveda is that they have a day where they eat a one or two ingredient meal, and this is in the form of khichdi. And they say that just having one simple ingredient can really help to turn on those fat stores and to start the process of fat burning and losing weight. Obviously, the 5-2 diet is very, very popular at the moment, with so many people doing it. I do it myself 2 days a week. I'll do it on a Monday and a Thursday. I find it's a really good chance to give my digestive system a rest, and also it helps to turn on those fat burning mechanisms as well. So yeah, it's really handy and helpful.
That's awesome. And so your recommendations for it have come from a bit of both, a bit of the recent research and the traditional use in the Ayurvedic diet as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So at the start, you were talking about how Ayurvedic medicine's based around the 3 doshas, Vata, Pitta and Kapha. Can you give us a bit of a brief explanation about what those are and how we can improve our health by balancing these?
Yeah, absolutely. So doshas are energies that circulate around your body. They govern your physiological activity. They govern your character, your personality. They're really interesting. There's 3 of them, as you said, Vata, Pitta and Kapha. If you're a Vata, you're more of a flighty, nervous person, tall, generally quite slender. You don't have to be tall, but slender with long limbs. Yep. And you can sort of be quite nervous, have a nervous disposition. And for Vatas, it's good to eat foods and do exercises that really ground you. So eating grounding foods in the sense of slow cooking, stews, casseroles, some sweet fruits are quite good for Vata, things like peaches, berries as well. So beautiful and oily foods are quite good for Vata as well. They tend to get quite dry skin as well. So, and Pitta, if you're a Pitta, you're more of a hot-blooded, fiery kind of person. You have more of a muscular build, and you make a good leader. You're quite strong with other people. And Pitta can sometimes get overheated and quite intense. So Pitta really benefit from a diet that's very cooling foods, smoothies, cucumber, those kinds of foods, herbs and spices that are cooling. Yes, sometimes raw foods are quite good for depending on the state of the digestive system, but sometimes raw food's quite good for pitta as well. And then there's kapha. Kapha are a more heavier set build. Kapha are more slow moving. They do have problems with excess mucus in the body. So if you do think you're kapha, then eliminating or cutting down on dairy products is one of the first places to have a look. Also, you want to have foods that really speed up your metabolism. So things like cayenne, pepper, chili, paprika. Those foods are going to be really good for sort of getting you up and getting you moving as well if you're a kapha. Now, as I said, there are 3 doshas, but we all are a bit of each one. I don't think there's really any of us that are all just one. So what it is, it's about one of them will go out of balance. So it's just about, Ayurveda says that like increases like. So it's about just pulling that one back into balance. So if you feel, for example, you're overheated, you're in a traffic jam, or something's happened, you've had a bad day, it's good to come home and have something cooling, or do a cooling kind of yoga practice. If you're a vata, you've been traveling too much. Like I know for myself, if I've been on the road too much, when I come home, I love to have something slow cooked. Like last night, I had slow cooked lamb shanks with cauliflower mash because I just really needed a grounding meal. So that's kind of how they all work.
Okay, that's awesome. And there's also different affinities for the seasons as well. So you should be maybe eating more cooling foods in summer and warming foods in winter. And that's because each dosha will flare up a little bit more in certain seasons as well.
Yeah, absolutely right. That's right. So obviously in summer you do want to have more cooling foods if you're feeling overheated. And it is interesting how it works with the seasons, don't you think? Like it just feels really natural that naturally in winter you'd want warming and foods that make you feel warm inside.
Yeah. I think it's so good to be able to eat seasonally, and I think that we've gotten out of that practice because food is available all year round from all over the world, whereas if we eat locally, then we're not only helping to reduce food miles, but we're improving our health as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, in season it's more abundant, it's cheaper, it's less expensive for you as well. And yeah, I think it just tastes better if you obviously I love asparagus. So we've just been through summer and asparagus. I was eating mangoes and just really delicious foods. They just seem to taste so good when they're in the right season.
But asparagus that's come from across the world is a bit woody, I think, usually.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Not quite as nice. Now, I've been really enjoying cooking recipes from your book. My favourite one at the moment is the beans, which has the coconut through it.
Yeah, they're really good. In India, I learnt that dish in India. It was interesting. I was staying with my friend Erica, she's Indian, and her Indian relatives. And so we had the grandmother, the mother, myself, Erica, the sisters, and we all sat around the table and we were just you know how you have to cut the beans and cut them to it was very meditative actually. We were all sitting around cutting the beans, and then we had it on the stovetop for quite a while, just on low with the coconut. The coconut just brings a beautiful flavour to it. It's such a delicious dish.
Yeah, I was just amazed when I tasted it for the first time. I've actually cooked it a few times since. I've gone, oh my God, I didn't know that coconut could make a savoury dish taste so good in that sort of regard. Like obviously you cook with coconut milk in sauces, but actually putting the flakes in like that was really good. And I've done the different chicken one, and then the sweet potato hash. That's
nice. The sweet potato hash is really yummy. It's really good for vata as well. If you're a vata.
Yeah, that was nice. So what's your favourite?
My favourite is I've got a chai creme brulee, which is really good. And that's on the same page as the poached pears, the poached pears are interesting. They're poached in rice milk, or you can use any kind of milk that you like, but you poach them in the oven, actually, in a casserole dish in rice milk. And you add some beautiful spices and some cloves to it. And also it's got a little bit of caramelized sort of orange peel on top. Two of my favorite, they're on the same page actually, recipes from the book.
I think the one I was thinking of was the Brazil nut latte.
The Brazil nut latte is really yummy.
Yeah, Brazil nut makes really nice milk.
Yeah, I know, doesn't it? It's really delicious.
So what's your favourite Ayurvedic lifestyle techniques that you've incorporated into your daily routine?
Yeah, I think that for me, it's I'm a Vata, so a lot of the forward bend exercises, some of the yoga poses, I've incorporated those, and also just a bit of meditation as well, and the breathing. There's a couple of breathing exercises, 3 breathing exercises in the book. Very, very good for Vatas, for really grounding your energy and grounding your mind, emptying your mind. So the forward bends are great. Anything where your head is below your knees is good for clearing the mind. And yeah, it's meditation, breathing.
That's great. I don't think that many people would know about the different yoga poses having an affinity for each dosha either.
Yeah, I know. It is interesting. I mean, you don't want to do too many heated yoga poses if you're a pitta. So sort of sun salutations can sort of heat up the body. So you want to do some more cooling ones for if you're a pitta, and kapha you want to be moving, so you might want to do a bit of vinyasa if you're a kapha. You want to sort of get the energy flowing around the body.
But that's all in there, that you've got the guides on what to do and what not to do for different doshas. And there's a quiz in there too to find out what dosha you are. But like you said, sometimes you can be a little bit of each one depending on what's happening that day and the season and that sort of thing as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And there is also, as well as the quiz, there's a few pages on absolutely everything to do for that dosha. So what foods you should be eating for that dosha, which work the best for it, the yoga poses, the breathing techniques. So everything is there.
So it's all perfectly summarized.
Yeah, it's all summarized, because I found that Ayurveda is very complicated. Like when I was in India, it was like a minefield. Like there were so many rules and sort of things that I couldn't get my head around it. But once I did, I feel that I've really distilled that information down and really brought it to you in a way that's easy to digest and simple to do and simple to incorporate. You don't have to do this every single day. Even if you just cook one Ayurvedic meal a week, or just eat seasonally, or just do mindful eating, just one thing that you can do. A lot of us are doing Ayurveda all the time anyway, without even knowing it. We're doing yoga, that's Ayurveda. We're doing, we're being mindful, that's Ayurveda. So yeah, it's interesting how there's all these different words for it now, but really it is at the basis of Ayurveda.
Yeah, and I really like that message as well. It's just include a little bit in. It's not about a restrictive sort of way of eating or a lifestyle technique. It's about just doing a little bit, as much as you can, and that will have a benefit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so thank you so much, Lee, for joining us today. I've really enjoyed our chat. If people want to get in contact with you, is it the best to do it through your website, which is superchargedfood.com?
Yeah, that's right, superchargedfood.com, or you can follow me on Instagram, Lee Supercharged on Instagram, or you can email me, lee@superchargedfood.com.
Awesome. I hope you have a wonderful day, and thank you again.
Thank you so much, Alison. It's so great to talk to you.
Thank you, and thanks everyone for listening. Bye.
Bye.